Hello, I'm Michael Witt, AC1 Director and Teacher at Ninth and O Baptist Church. Welcome to Devotionables, brief devotions for busy people. Today we're going to be looking at Psalm chapter 61. This psalm is a prayer of refuge and trust in God, particularly when one's heart is overwhelmed. It expresses a desire for God's protection and demonstrates a longing to dwell in His presence while seeking His security and provision. It starts with a cry for help during a very difficult situation. David wrote this psalm at a time when he was far from home and safety. He was struggling. He was in despair. He was overwhelmed. Like many of you, I've found myself in a place and time when these same feelings that David was experiencing here came roaring in. Those feelings enveloped me in such a way that I wondered if the light at the end of the tunnel would ever appear. Those circumstances were so incredibly awful that I wondered how I could possibly survive them. Like a drowning soul, I was thrashing out, trying to find bottom or anything I could latch on to provide any kind of relief or even hope for survival. Longing to find a rock or anything solid on which I could stand to rest for a minute or even a second. Here, David cries out to his rock of salvation. He prays and calls out to God, who is his rock, his hiding place, his fortress. He needs to feel safe again. He needs hope again. He craves that comfort of knowing that there is someone much stronger, more capable, and in charge of every situation. Sometimes when our hearts feel overwhelmed, what we need to do is cry out to God and ask that in that desperation and fear, God would place us on stable ground and would comfort us and guide us through to safety, that He would shelter us and deliver us from that moment. This is what David does here in this psalm. It reads, "Hear my cry, O God, listen to my prayer. From the ends of the earth I call to you. I call as my heart grows faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I, for you have been my refuge, a strong tower against the foe." In verse 2, it said, "I call out as my heart grows faint." In the King James Version, it says overwhelmed. So overwhelming is a feeling that God knows very well. And as I mentioned earlier, I recently found myself in such a seemingly hopeless situation. Last year, around September, my stepmom fell ill. She was hospitalized and then passed away in October. She was the primary caregiver for my dad, who suffered from severe dementia. And then he passed in December. And then in the middle of that, in November, my mom had a stroke. My brother and I had taken over the care of my dad full-time, in addition to our life duties, our full-time jobs, our kids, and other responsibilities. So you can understand it was a very trying time. Then when my mom had a stroke, she went into the hospital. And then after she was in the hospital for about 4 weeks, she transitioned to a rehab center. And then from the rehab center, she was not able to overcome the effects of her stroke. So they sent her home for hospice care. And she passed less than a week after that. So now that was a very difficult time for us. 3 parents requiring round-the-clock care, 3 hospitalizations, 3 funerals within 3 months, all while trying to maintain a reasonably normal existence. Then now we're facing with the prospects of 3 estate settlements and probates. Overwhelming doesn't even begin to cover it. Truth be told, prayers were spoken, cries went out, God heard them, and put His solution into action. He provided support in the form of people who cared, folks from the church, hospice, friends, co-workers, and of course, family. My BFG provided meals and provided many additional prayers and support. That's one great benefit of being part of a loving church made up of people who truly care for one another and mean it when they say, "Can I do anything for you?" in addition to praying. As God was with David here in this situation, He is with me, and He will be there for you as well. I haven't reached the end of this episode or this journey yet, but there is sun shining in the distance. That gives me hope for tomorrow and life for today. So when you find yourself awash in a storm of fears and struggles, look to the rock that is higher than you. Look to God. He will be there for you. When Christ walked out on the water in that storm, and He called Peter to walk to Him, and Peter took that step of faith and walked toward Him, keeping his eyes on Christ, at the moment he took his eyes off of Christ and looked down, he began to sink. Don't sink in the storms of life. Keep your eyes on God, and He will lead you through. You will find solid ground. Let's pray. Most loving God, You have provided me with the hope that I could weather this horrible storm, and I continue to be thankful. I give You all the praise and glory for Your power and how You are able to bring us through life with all of its challenges and torments. You will continue to be our refuge in the storm, a tower of protection, and a deliverer of hope. Keep us mindful of this reminder from the Psalms. Do not let us forget You are there. Thank You.